This is the Stephan Hogan Podcast.
You started Combustion in
2001.
2001.
Coming up on our 25th anniversary.
And you're one of the biggest independent publishers in Nashville, arguably.
I think so. I'm pretty sure. I don't know any have 116 number ones, that's for sure. Now, there might be some that are better than us at this moment, but over 25 years, I don't think so. Because there's some fairly big money coming in to start up independent stuff now. We're self-funded. We don't have a partner. It's all me. So we don't, if somebody comes in and says, hey, here's a crap load of money, go sign a bunch of writers and I'll be, that's still an independent, but it's kind of walks and talks a little different. You know what I mean? Because their ass isn't in the money's kind of forgiven if you don't win. My money, I could forgive myself, but I don't want to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect.
So our ass is on the line a little bit more than if someone just says, here's $10 million, turn it into 20, but if you don't, we'll write it off.
Yeah, 100%.
What I mean? This is a whole little different kind of. So to answer your question, I think we're the most successful independent over time.
How do you feel about that?
Are we on the record now?
Yeah, we're talking.
Oh, we're rolling. Okay, good. Sorry, I didn't know when you started. Good. How do I feel about being the biggest or the best or one?
Yeah, what does that feel like, man?
Satisfying. It feels. When I think 25 years, it makes me feel old, quite frankly. But it also makes me feel proud because it's an industry that it's hard to grow old gracefully, and it's a kind of a young man's game. And to still be at the forefront of what's going on at this point in my career, after being in this business for almost 50 years, believe it or not, I started when I was a teenager, is satisfying. It's really satisfying. I think most people don't have that kind of longevity. And so the most thing I feel is pride. Is just, and surprise.
I'm curious about like when you were, let's say, starting Combustion, were you thinking at that point in your career, in your life, in terms of decades, or were you thinking like in terms of years? Because a lot of us, it's easy to think in terms of years. Yeah. Like, or even months. Like we get into a very macro mindset. Yeah. And when you're starting a business, you have to be thinking like, okay, well, when am I going to become profitable, et cetera.
Well, especially when it's self-funded like that.
So. So you're putting your butt on the line, and I'm curious about what that was like.
Yeah.
For you.
So I guess it's a good question. If I was thinking, I thinking in terms of decades, but certainly in terms of years. Quick kind of little kind of background to understand how that happened was. I was a successful songwriter for many years prior to being a publisher and a producer. And but I was starting to feel, I wouldn't say burnout is the right question, but I'd written a lot of songs, and I was probably 40, and it's like I didn't have as much to say. I wasn't as inspired, and my success was tailing. My activity was tailing. So I was going, all right, I need to be smart enough to pivot and adjust to the changing landscape and the fact that I'm getting older. And the fact that, that I need to adapt. And so that's how Combustion was kind of born, whereas as opposed to me writing a song and hoping it gets out there, what if I help 10 other songwriters write 10 songs and we could try to get all those out there, and I mentor and I help and I support and I use my wisdom to kind of shape the company that way. And I had all these soldiers out there getting songs as opposed to just me. And I found out I was pretty good at it. And I found out I had instincts for it. And I think my history served me super well because I tell all the songwriters all the time that whatever emotion you're going through as a songwriter, which is always a lot, whether you're depressed or happy or excited or overpaid or underpaid or underappreciated or overappreciated, or I've had all of those emotions. I promise you, every single one of them. So that I feel like they can kind of listen to me knowing that I've walked the walk and I know a little bit of what I speak and kind of can have been in their shoes. Yeah. And I think that has been a huge asset to me, where when they come and talk to me, there's a level of wisdom that they might not get from the guy who runs XYZ, Universal Music, who was never a songwriter, was good at, supporting songwriters, which is still a great skill. It just comes from a different place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, of course. It's interesting in the entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah.
because going out on your own, I mean, as a writer and all that, you're still an entrepreneur or producer.
Yeah.
But this is a whole different vertical in the music business. And so I'm curious because you said you've experienced all those emotions. And I think that for me and other entrepreneurs, there's these times when we're like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. And you hit that, like, I don't know how we're going to pay the next whatever. Did you have that happen?
Yeah, many times.
In this company?
Yeah.
And,
well, maybe not since Combustion started, I had been pretty successful on my own.
Yeah.
So I tucked some money away. But Combustion could have easily failed. Now, if Combustion had failed, Chris Farren wouldn't have necessarily fully failed. You know what I mean? There was a bit of a separation where I knew that I was investing money that I could afford to lose. Didn't want to lose, but as opposed to I was going to lose my house. Yeah. But there was still a sense of urgency and a sense of putting my ass on the line and a hunger. So to answer your question, which again was...
I was just curious if there was ever a point where you were like, man, I don't see, like things aren't going good.
No.
You know?
Yeah, there was definitely, there was a point prior to Combustion and certainly a point post-Combustion. Yeah, I think songwriters and musicians by nature are kind of insecure. You know, I mean, it's tough, man. I know
I am.
Yeah, I know I am. I mean, it's funny. I was talking with a friend of mine the other day, and he's very successful. And I asked him, I said, "Why did you take that job?" I said, "You didn't need that job." And he goes, "Come on, Chris, you know as well as I do. We're musicians. We're songwriters. We think the last time the phone rang is going to be the last time it will ever ring. You know what I mean? So we have that built-in insecurity of like, I'm still getting paid to do this. I better take the gig. You know what I mean? Yeah. But so yeah, I mean, prior to Combustion, there was many times I had kids and I was freaking out because I wasn't sure if I could really truly afford to raise a family on what I was doing. And then and I was doing pretty good. I still felt like it could go away. You know what I mean? I never felt like, I remember there was one point in my career and I was in my 40s and I was driving down the road and a song that I wrote and produced came on the radio. Right after that, another song that I wrote and produced came on the radio. And I went, I think I can make a career of this. But that was like 25 years in, you know what I mean? But I still was at a level of like.
That was 25 years in.
Yeah.
See, that's an important, just like, let's stop there and think about that.
But when I say start, I started literally in my teens. I mean, I've never done anything but music, playing in clubs and stuff like that. So I count back to age 15 or something. Yeah. You know what I mean? But that's true, Yeah.
Dude, what was one of the things that I'm just curious about the very beginning, because I think a lot of people now are looking at entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. I just see it, man. Like, you see it online. You see people saying like,
musicians, they know more about that stuff than they ever did. And it's good because it's available and they've searched it and they're seeing their friends sell catalogs. I am amazed at how much songwriters talk about the economics of songwriting. And it's good. But it never used to be that way.
Yeah. I feel like as a creative, generally, you're aloof to business.
Yeah.
That's a generalization.
I think it's a good generalization.
But, and I think that a lot of younger folks, especially that move to town that are fresh. Like my first thought when I moved to Nashville was, I'm going to move to Nashville. I'm going to get a publishing deal like that. Okay. And it's going to be great. And then I'm going to get a record deal. Next thing you know, I'm going to be selling out stadiums or whatever, like I think everybody kind of has this idea.
You got to have that dream.
You have it.
You wouldn't come if you didn't have it.
And then you get here and you get the reality and you get, you start to like do the dating process and co-writes and these things. And you're starting a whole publishing company based off of betting on your gut and betting on songwriters. And one of the first people that you signed, or I think at the beginning, correct me if I'm wrong, was Ashley Gorley.
Well, I'll do you a little bit better. So when I decided to start a publishing company, I was working in LA with a guy named Jeffrey Steele. You might know Jeffrey. He's a fantastic songwriter and artist. And I was producing his band, and we were co-writing like crazy. And I had a publishing deal, but he didn't have one. And he had just had a kid, and he was like, I need some money, man. And I said, well, I'll introduce you to everybody that I know. Maybe you can get a deal. And he didn't get any great offers. And he came back going, he was playing gigs and working side jobs and just trying to, get by. And I said, dude, I will pay you that much money out of my own pocket. And that was where the entrepreneur, I think, in me, first of all, I recognized his talent. And I said, if nobody else will sign it, I'll sign you, literally out of my own pocket. And I was not making much more than I was paying him when I signed him, but I had some other income that I did. I sang a lot of jingles and I sang on a lot of records and was doing some other stuff, and it had some cuts. Anyhow, the bottom line is the first songwriter I ever signed was Jeffrey Steele. That was pre-Combustion, but it was the predecessor. So it kind of got me on my way. And then Jeffrey's gone on to have an amazing career. It'd be BMI Songwriter of the Year, I think 4 times or something. And then I realized that worked. Maybe I need to take this thing a little more seriously. So a couple years later, I re-signed with a company as myself. I've never been signed to Combustion as a songwriter. I've always kept that separate, which I think was super important because I didn't want the writers to think I was competing with them. Like if I'm signed to Combustion, it's like, well, he's going to get all the best opportunity. He's going to pitch his songs first. He's going to get all the better writing opportunities.
Yeah, it's a conflict of interest.
Total conflict of interest. And I never wanted them to feel that. So when I was still writing up until years ago, I had a writer deal, completely separate. And so then when I signed my next writer deal, I said, I'm going to kick up this publishing side and put out a shingle and rent a room and get a plugger and go for it. So it was Jeffrey Steele. And then after that, the next 2 people I signed were Ashley Gorley and the Kings of Leon. So I said, I'm pretty good. That's why I said my instincts, luck, instincts, timing, whatever. We got off on a pretty good start.
So what was it? Because there are so many artists, there are so many writers, there are so many. I don't know that Ashley Gorley had any number ones at that point.
He had nothing.
0. That was
0.
Yeah. And so you guys believed in him.
I'll tell you a quick funny story about that. So we were just getting started. I had one person working for me, and I was looking for writers, and we were looking for baby writers. We couldn't afford established writers. We couldn't buy catalogs. We just wanted young, hungry, good writers. And so they were starting to parade through my office because I was a new place that maybe had some money, and writers are always looking for places. So we didn't have any juice. We didn't have any. I mean, I guess I had a history as a producer and a writer, but not as a publisher, except for Jeffrey. And so these various writers would come through. I never forget. Ashley came through. He wouldn't mind me saying this, I'm sure, but he didn't write. I mean, he didn't play. He didn't really sing. But he had these demos, and he played a song kind of really rudimentary on the guitar and sang. He couldn't sing or play, but the song was good. And but he was really early. It was his first deal. And I remember thinking, something about that guy, he's going to figure this out. Something about he quietly carried himself. There was far more people with more obvious talent. You know what I mean? Like great singers, great guitar players, really delivered the song. He didn't want to be an artist. He wanted to be a songwriter. So there was another guy that came through who remained nameless. And I decided, I remember talking to my employee, I said, it's between these 2 guys. Let's sign one of these 2 guys. And I was really, really vacillating between the 2 because I was really on the fence. We could only sign one of them. We signed Ashley. 6 months later, the other guy had a number 1. And I'm like, we signed the wrong guy. I was like, bang, if we'd had a number 1 that fast that would have been like such a moment, like been in business less than a year, they got a number 1, And I was kicking myself, and she was too. And then that guy's never had another cut before, and Ashley's had 70?
Well, according to
the point is over time, my instincts were right. For a minute, I didn't think they were.
No, it's amazing to just that story. I'm putting myself in that situation where you're standing in front of someone that's singing a song that's, you said rudimentary chords. They're probably just playing G, C, E minor, D kind of a thing.
And
very
singing badly.
And not singing it, but you saw through that into the song. But
more hit with Ashley, and I think that's a testament to him. And obviously, I have nothing but mad respect for him. But it's never been the obvious talent of Ashley. It's been the instinctual, he's really like a dog with a bone. He's so focused and so driven and so good at figuring out riddles, and hence songwriting. You know what I mean? He's just brilliant at that. And he's proven he's the biggest songwriter of all time.
Yeah. According to ChatGPT, 83 number 1s.
Well, I was just with him. He got inducted to the Songwriters Hall of Fame. I think he's the youngest ever to be inducted into usually that's given to guys that are like 60, 70, 80 years old.
Oh, yeah.
And he's 40 something. So he's a freak.
Yeah, he is, man. But it's cool to hear that story.
But yeah, that was he. So he was one of the first that we ever signed. Yeah.
What makes a good songwriter?
Well, I think I just spoke to that a little bit. I think God-given talent, and then study, effort, and then the ability to understand the nuances of why one song works better than another song and why one song got cut and another song maybe didn't. You know what I mean? It's very subtle. It's just like I'm sure you've had this come up in some of your interviews where there's things about great songwriters from a different genre will come to Nashville. It used to piss me off because I was part of that regime coming from LA going, hey, shoot, if I can do pop music, sure enough, I can do this country stuff. And it's not right. And they learn real fast that the nuances is on the surface, it looks simple, but the nuances, the difference between a B+ country song and an A+ country song is small, but huge at the same time. And you just have to do it and learn it and understand it and study it and write 100 songs that weren't good or 1,000 songs that weren't good to start to understand, crack the code is what I call. Like all of a sudden you go in, Ashley Gorley cracked the code early.
Yeah.
And most people never crack the code, you know?
Yeah. I was talking to a gentleman, Lee Crable from Smack Songs, and he was saying for him what could make a song great is just one line.
Yeah.
It could be that, like you're saying, it could be just a subtle little
nuance
thing.
that maybe the other normal writer or a less experienced writer might accept. It's good enough, or it's fine, or it's good, you know, as opposed to, no, it could be better and it needs to be better.
Yeah.
And you can't teach that as much as you have to learn it.
Yeah.
You know?
Can we talk about the Schedule A and what that looks like for first-time writers when they're coming in for a publishing deal, and how important that is versus you saying like, hey, I'm not so much concerned about what you've written. I'm ready for what you're going to write here.
I'm definitely more the latter. I mean, obviously we want the Schedule A if it's available.
Which is, can you describe that for
Schedule
people?
A is the songs that a songwriter may have written prior to having a publishing deal that they've stockpiled. And that if you sign them for the first time, they might have one, they might have 100, they might have 1,000 songs they've written, and that either comes to the deal or not. It's negotiable. Many times it just comes in with the deal, depending on, once again, the leverage and the amount of money they want. But our feeling is always is that you're signing with us to make you better. So everything going forward is going to be better. Doesn't mean you don't have some gems back there, but I'm not going to get too caught up on, I mean, of course we're going to listen to them. And first thing we do when we get a Schedule A is listen to them and go, pick out the 10 best. Pick out anybody. You pick your 10 best, I'll pick my 10 best. You pick. Let's amalgamate those and figure out these are ones that deserve some attention. We can't pitch 1,000 new Schedule A songs because most of them probably aren't very good, or you would have had a deal already.
Exactly. I want to thank my friend Stephanie for hooking it up with clothes for this podcast. Let me tell you a little about her store. She just opened. It's called Simon Says. It's an innovative new Nashville men's clothier located in the hyper hip Wedgwood, Houston neighborhood, just steps away from Soho House and Standard Assembly Building. They celebrate with several private events leading up to the grand opening that happened this fall. So they just opened. This shirt I'm wearing is from them, and proprietor Stephanie that I'm talking about, she's dressed people like Marcus King, Robert Plant, Midland for red carpets, for award shows, for albums. She's quite frankly one of the hippest, coolest people that I've met in the clothing world. We have a bunch of shirts that they provided that I'm going to be wearing on podcasts. This is one of them, and you just don't see stuff like this everywhere you go. It's a men's store, only for dudes. It's hard to find. Guys, we finally got a store. SimonSaysNashville.com. Follow them on Instagram. Now back to the podcast. So do you believe in the development of writers?
That's what I run my business on, is that you sign with us because we're going to help make you a better songwriter. We're going to help make you a successful songwriter because of the muscles that we have over the last 25 years, or for me over the last 50 years of just kind of understanding it and leaning into you what you do best and what you're good at, and accentuating that and hoping you fill in the gaps maybe you're weaker. Now it's gotten so segmented, as you well know, in today's world where there's track guys and top line guys and lyricists and singers and stuff. But in the beginning, and certainly through most of my career, it was just you were a songwriter. It's become more segmented now. So if the track guy's a track guy, maybe he's never going to be a lyric guy. That's okay. But I think true songwriters, and the Ashley of the case, or when I was, you're trying to go, if you're really good at music, but you're a little weaker on lyrics, let's put you with people that are good lyricists that you to learn from and gain from it. Just flex that muscle. Doesn't have to be your biggest muscle, but it still should be a good muscle.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that you can have input to the song on all directions, not just the groove or not just the melody or just not the lyric.
Yeah, the biggest thing I find, because I've kind of lived in this space as well. I mean, not like where you're at, but mentorship in that, I mean, sitting down like in a co-write, like you'd sign someone and you're writing with someone that has more miles, has more songs under their belt. They flushed out the metaphorical pipe and have that clean water coming out of songwriting, and you're being mentored. And I've been experiencing that just like with having, you do publishing meetings and they set you up on co-writes. And when you write with a mature writer or someone that's been doing it longer, it really makes you up your game, because you're like, oh, that's how you did that. Yeah. It's that little thing.
Yeah.
And
conversely, though, if you're an older writer and you write with a younger guy who breeds something new, or he's watching it from a different angle, or he grew up with it from a different angle, that can go back and forth. It really can. I love this business because I get to surround myself with young people, and they continue to kind of teach me. You know what I mean? Well, maybe I'm teaching them at the same time. But also, like, I never heard of that guy. Let me dig into that guy's music, or I never thought about that, or a new piece of gear, or a new piece of this, or just something that kind of go, I wouldn't have known that.
It's the beauty of collaboration, man. Who was one of your biggest mentors, if you had one?
It's funny. I've been asked that question before, and I don't mean this to sound like I am an island. I wish I had a mentor. I mean, other than my dad and my brother and family people that were supportive. My dad died when I was very young, but instilled a lot of great things in me. I wish I had that. I mean, certainly there's people that lifted me. I'm not saying I did this all by myself. I'm just saying there wasn't a person throughout my career that was my kind of guiding light. It was a bunch of people. And it was, Jeffrey was, when working with Jeffrey in the beginning was like, I think we taught each other so much. He was good at some things and I was better at other things and stuff like that. But that was more of a partnership than a mentorship kind of, I mean? But I guess it's a similar kind of thing.
Yeah. What would be one thing, if there is any, that stuck in your head that you heard along your career that you've kind of echoed in your subconscious throughout your life as a piece of advice that maybe was from a friend?
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't from a mentor.
That's a good question. And just so I'm clear, I want to make sure it doesn't look like I'm not giving anybody credit for some of my success, because there was tons of people at different times, but there wasn't.
No, there's not just like one. There's not just an Aristotle.
Yeah. There was not that one guy who said, was constantly in my ear. One piece of advice or one adage or anything. It sounds cliche, but I wish I had a pat answer for that. I probably should get one, but
you don't have to have one.
No, I really think it is, resilience. Like trust your instincts. Resilience. My career's had so many up and downs. It's not funny. Ask my accountant.
So here's a question for you. At the times when it was really hard, if you could have gone back to the younger you and saw how hard it was, would you have done it?
Yeah, I definitely would have done it. I was obsessed. I do wish I had. Like, I look at kids that coming out of Belmont, there was so much knowledge, or even any kind of school, or just the fact that these 21 or 22-year-old kids have so much access to stuff on the internet. They just come in smarter. I think I could have saved myself 5 to 10 years of heartache and grow if I knew more. I knew nobody, knew nothing about the business. I just loved writing and singing songs. And I moved to LA. That's all I had in my belt. I didn't have a phone number. I didn't have and if I had the resources, I think, that are available now, and I'm not saying that in a begrudging way, but I just think today's songwriter has a great leg up on some of the older guys just because of the knowledge that's available. and that they can understand about publishing and co-writing and splits and the economics of it. That's they understand early on. Well, I think I'm going to sell my copyright on that one song because I can get a multiple of this and da da da. And you go, man, I never thought like that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Can we dive into that a little bit? Because I'm very interested in the business side of the music business.
Sure.
And I've often heard people say the music business and being an artist or a songwriter or anything, it's more business than it is music to a level. Some people have said that, especially on the artist side.
Yeah. Make a little music in the money business or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. So I'm interested in, like we talk about publishing deals, kind of a broad topic. And then now I'm learning as I talk to people like you about like catalog acquisition and have friends that have publishing companies, and they get calls all the time from like the Sonys or the Warners or whoever, and they're like, hey, do you still have this catalog?
Man.
Would you be interested in selling that? Like, can you talk about, lean into that a little bit and what that looks like and why people are buying up catalogs and what a catalog is? Just because I think that is a kind of foreign topic to a lot of listeners.
It's a buzzword for sure, right?
Yeah.
But not everybody understands exactly what it is.
Yeah. Just like if I was a fifth grader and you were explaining.
It might be above that level, but I think it really comes down to the fact that songs, as you know, earn money kind of forever, for at least 75 years. So if a song's earning money, if it was a hit, it's going to decrease, but it's going to pay something. I mean, I have songs that I wrote 40 years ago that I still get something. You know what I mean? So the point being is it earns money forever or for a long time. And so a lot of people smarter than me have realized that if you invest in an asset like that, it's got a guaranteed income stream. Now you have to decide how much it's going to drop or go up, but it's not going to just go away. And as long as there's ASCAP and BMI and Spotify and places like that are using music or collecting for music. So I think, and without getting too deep in the woods, at different times in our economic kind of lifetime, there's been ebbs and flows in the market, and there's been ebbs and flows in what houses cost and what interest rates are and all those kind of things. And a lot of people a lot smarter than me realize that if you can invest in an asset like that has a absolute guaranteed income stream, it might not be super sexy, but for some investment people, that's really enticing. So there's been a lot of money that's come into that business from Wall Street that says, hey, we want to be in that music business. We want to invest this. So as a result, where there's more competition, the values go up. And the fact that we're finding new ways to monetize songs with all the different digital platforms and all the things. And thankfully, ASCAP is still paying and radio still pays. And so we've been through some dips, but actually right now it's pretty healthy. It needs to be better, but what songwriters are getting paid are pretty good. And there's investors that are going, if I can buy the rights to the latest Luke Combs song that was number one, and it's going to earn for the next 20 years, I can afford to pay way more than a year's value of that because I'm going to get it over the term. So, and that's considered a multiple. Like if it earns $50,000 a year and you paid $50,000 for it, it would be a multiple of 1. If you paid $500,000 for it, it'd be a multiple of 10. And while many people argue that that's not how catalogs are valued by multiples because there's a lot of other factors, it's still kind of a good start basis. Like there's a certain kind of range of multiples. If you sold a song, your multiple would be lower than if I sold 500 songs. Because you can see, obviously, there's a breadth of a catalog. They're relying on one song. If that tanks, they're out. But if the 500, one could do better, one could do worse, one could, you know what I mean? So
it's like you build 500 little houses and sell them versus one little house.
And the bigger and the more breadth there is to a catalog, like we have pop songs, we have K-pop songs, we have Christian songs, we have country songs. So it's spread out over genres. That even makes it a little bit more valuable than I have one song and it's a country song. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
diversification, volume, breadth. But there's a value to anything. There's a value to one song. I mean, I hear that all the time where a songwriter had one hit, says he wants to sell the publishing on it. It's like, if it's the right number, I guess it makes sense. I wouldn't probably do that. So I'd hope I could write more and package them together, and my multiple would go up.
Because there's people selling catalogs for millions of dollars.
Absolutely.
Or parts of catalogs for millions of dollars.
Lots of money.
And then they still songwrite because they love it.
Yeah. It's so funny because when I was growing up in LA, I never forget that it was like the mantra that I was hearing from my songwriter friends, this is when I was in my 20s, was, and my first deal, I didn't have any publishing, but it was like, get publishing. And if you ever get publishing, don't sell it. Hold on to it. No matter what they do, don't hold to it. That was like a sin. If you were able to get it and then you sold it, and I was like, okay, all right, I got it. You know what I mean? And I finally got publishing, and I had somebody came through, and this is where I think my greatest asset as my greatest skill, for lack of a better word, is that luck of the draw. I think I was born with pretty two good heads in my brain. I'm pretty creative and brain, but also a business side that can understand practicality and numbers, and it wasn't anything I studied. It's not. I guess I just had a feel for it. But I remember distinctly the day where I had 4 songs on a record that had done well, and my publisher said, "Hey, we'll buy your publishing on that for like this amount." It was a big number, but everything in the back of my head was saying, "Don't sell your publishing, don't sell your publishing, don't sell your publishing." And whatever it is, the right or left brain is the more business one, whichever it is. I did the math and I went, well, shoot, I know what it's going to earn. They're going to pay me now for like 10 years of earnings. What can I do with that money now? I can buy a house. Otherwise, I can't really buy a house. So, I mean, you have to be practical about it. And I went, that made sense to me, even though it went against everything I had been taught was hold on to your publishing. Now, that mantra has changed now. But back in the 80s, that was the mantra.
Yeah.
You get publishing, man. If you sell it, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I did, but I wasn't an idiot for me because I used that money to do something smart as opposed to buy a Lamborghini or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's giving you liquidity, and then you could reinvest that money and make money off of that money and make it have babies.
And that's how I started publishing. I mean, that's how I signed Jeffrey or something. You know, man, I had a little hunk of dough. I said, hey, I might as well reinvest it, but not just reinvest it in the stuff that I've already owned.
Yeah.
Reinvest it in some other stuff.
Invest it in people.
Yeah.
That's really cool. What are attributes because you've been so successful and your company's been so successful.
Well, thank you.
It's just the numbers. I mean, it's the number. But what does it take to be a great leader versus a good leader?
Well, I'm not sure I can answer that. I hope I'm a great leader, but you'd have to ask my team. I think it's honesty and being supportive at the same time as being real. I mean, I think my guys, if you've interviewed the guys that have worked for me, I think they'd say he's fair, he's tough, he expects a lot, but he likes to have fun and he recognizes his wins, and we celebrate our wins, and we try to alleviate our losses or minimize our losses. So, I mean, I think I'm, if you're implying that I'm a great leader, which I'm not sure I am, but I'm still working on it. But I think it's because I let people play to their strengths. I really listen. I think I really I ultimately have the final say. But if it's 4 against 1 and I'm the only one, I say, go, let's do it. You know what I mean? Unless I'm just dead set. Now, there's been a couple times where it was 1 against 4 and I said, we're doing this. But I try not to force anything down anybody's throat. But I also know that my instincts have been good and I don't want to stop following them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's listening, but be having conviction in what you do and still having passion for what you do and still having belief that you're right more times than not. You know what I mean? That's how you got here. You know, whether it's instincts in signing somebody, an artist, a writer, a creative, or making a deal, it comes down to your gut. And I still try to follow mine, you know?
I have a question about the gut because I'm reading this book. It's called The Magic of Thinking Big. I read it a long time ago, but it was talking about the power of belief. And oftentimes I think humans are wired to maybe think of the negative, or it's like just wired in us because of our survival instinct or whatever. And you can think, this could be the worst outcome of a situation. Like I could sign someone, let's just go in the publishing, and oh man, I really don't know if I made the right decision. They might not do this. They might not do that.
Right.
Or you could think, I believe that they have the ability to do great things. And have you consciously had to been aware, I guess is my question, of how you approach things and how you think about things in terms of that positive mindset versus I don't know, like, I think it's easy to get in the mindset of lack or like, this isn't going to happen.
I wish I had more of that, I think. I still, like I said, there's an insecurity that's deep-seated.
Yeah.
Second guesses a lot of things. I wish I didn't quite so much. And obviously, it hasn't paralyzed me. But to answer your question, like, yeah, do I believe? I mean, did we wait 5 years before Ashley Gorley had a number one? Yeah. Did we go pretty deep in debt? Yeah, man, that was belief, But sometimes I've gone 5 years where I probably shouldn't have. You know what I mean? So it's not like it's foolproof. So I'm pretty convicted, but I would also be a liar to think that I haven't second guessed some of my decisions, especially ones that haven't worked. And I go, damn. And one of the things I will say is, so there's a guy that works for me, and I had a big kind of pretty not contentious, but serious conversation because he kept saying, well, if we had done this, look at where I said, we didn't do that. Like kind of about the misses. I said, we can't go back. And if we missed it, we missed it. Let's just think about the ones we're not going to miss. And let's get the ones that we are. So I am pretty good at putting it behind me, but in the moment, I definitely have second guessed it. So I wish I had more of that power of belief. I have strong convictions, but I haven't been able to manifest it every time. So I'm not completely convinced I can do
nobody's
that.
perfect. Nobody's perfect. There's this guy like Jocko, and I just like to read. And I don't know if you know who Jocko is. He's like this ex-Navy SEAL dude. And he's like super tough and wakes up every morning and works out at 4:30. And he's just one of those dudes.
Right.
And in his book that I read, Discipline Equals Freedom, he says every time something bad happens, he says good. Like if someone in his team came to him and was like, hey, this is a problem, he said good.
Let's fix it.
Yeah, because the next time,
won't happen.
now it won't happen. And it was a total paradigm shift for me. And I thought it was really cool because it's like, what if we did this? What if we did this? What if it is? No, good. Yeah. I'm glad I did. Yeah. I'm good. Because now we know moving forward. Yeah. But I think a lot of us can get caught in that what if.
Well, and I think we're all, especially in the publishing business, we're all chasing this same pot of gold kind of, or this same outcome, So when a writer comes through, like going, shoot, I don't want to miss it. And a lot of guys get signed because somebody doesn't want to miss it. You know what I mean? It's like you still have to believe in it. You still have to go, I'm not signing these just because I don't want to miss it. I'm signing this because I think it's great. And but every now and again, there's been stuff that likes to come across and we missed it. And the guy ended up doing great. Yeah. And it's like,
Can you talk about that a little bit? Because like one of the things that if you don't live here and you don't really know about like you missed it. That terminology is referring to, correct me if I'm wrong, someone that got a deal and their attorney was like, hey, so-and-so offered this person a deal. If you guys are interested, put in your offer kind of a thing.
It might be even a little less than that. It might be someone that came by through us looking for a deal.
Okay.
And we just decided we weren't going to make an offer at all. Just like, I don't think he's for us or she. And then fast forward a year later, they got a big giant hit and you're going, guess we should have signed him. It wasn't not so much that it was a bidding war that we lost. Many times, I don't want to sound cocky, but we offer something completely different. So we tell writers going in, if you're looking for the biggest paycheck, it's probably not here. But if you're looking for the best opportunity to become a better songwriter and have attention, the difference between us and a major is we have 12 writers and 5 people on staff, and they have 100 writers and 10 people on staff. Do the math. I mean, it's just a numbers game at that point. So they can pay more, but you probably won't get as much attention. Not saying in every case, but chances are you won't. So we kind of get out of that bidding war thing. Like if you want to be here, you're probably going to get a better monetary offer, but where's a better place at this point to build your career?
Yeah.
So if that kind of works in our favor in some places because we set the ground. We're going, we're not the bank. We're your farm club,
Yeah.
So, but we still have stuff we missed because we just didn't even make an offer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But that's life. That's business.
That's business.
That's just what it is.
I mean, remember, and this is kind of an interesting thing, and I can't stay too much longer, but when Ashley Gorley was hot as he was, and this is both good and bad, shows the resilience and also the toughness and the reality of the business. But he wrote a lot of songs. He writes a lot. I mean, he writes sometimes 2 a day, and he writes a lot, especially back then. So I did a thing when he was with us in maybe like 2017, and he was on fire. And the thing about Ashley was so unique is he got a lot of cuts, but he got a lot of singles. You know, it's one thing to get cuts; it's another thing to get the single. You know, so I remember I just kind of as an exercise in curiosity said, how many songs did you write in 2017, and how many got cut? Not even hits, just how many got cut on major labels. Nowadays, you can say it's cut because there's so many independent artists, but back then it was pre the big boom of Spotify and all that. It was like these were on the major labels, the major 5 or 6 or 7 labels. And at his height, Ashley Gorley got like 15% of his songs recorded. And he was the hottest guy on the planet. So that means there's guys out there that might get 5%, 2%, 8%. That means you're missing one time. Every 20 songs you write, maybe one gets some action. Maybe. So that means you miss a lot. Even the great guys miss a lot. So you have to become immune to rejection and disappointment and just, you know what I mean? Because
it's mindset, man.
Yeah, it's really a mindset. And I always kid around. I said, if he batted 150, if you batted 150 in the major leagues, you wouldn't be in the major leagues.
Yeah, that's what I was just calculating.
Yeah.
I was like, your batting average is pretty bad there.
Batting average is horrible.
You miss 85% of your...
But as a songwriter, now I'm sure there's some that hire because they write a lot less. An artist, if you're an artist and you only write 20 songs a year and they all go on your record. But I'm talking about a working lunchbox songwriter who wrote 200 songs that year.
Yep. Shows up every day,
and
writes
shows up every day and wrote 200 songs. And of those 200 songs, 30 of them got cut.
Yeah. That's amazing, man. Yeah. And that my last kind of thing I want to ask you, I know you have to roll, but is about the artist thing. And a lot of publishers are turning into what I've been told by some, I don't know if you agree with this, is like kind of the artist development side of what labels used to do in the old days with developing artists. Now that is happening in publishing companies. Yeah,
I think we've had to step into that role, and we're happy to do it because it's been a good business for us. I think with the advent of TikTok and all of these streaming things, that there's so many things that have to be watched for major labels that they don't miss. Like, oh my God, this guy's popping off. We go get him, or go find out what's going on. He's got 20 million streams. We got to go chase it. Somewhat the art, and I don't want to diss any of my A&R friends because they're still great A&R people, but their departments have been stretched a little thin because of economics, and they've kind of just said, let's leave the developing up to someone else. We'll just sign it once it's baked. So not in all cases. So we saw that early on and said, you know, we've always developed artists, but in the old days, if I signed you to my publishing, I said, I think you're freaking great. Let's go cut 5 songs and let's see if we can get you a deal. That was all you could do. We'd make a great demo. We'd make a great, you know, maybe a little video, maybe some content, but content you didn't even know like it is now. And you go and say, hey, here he is. I'm taking Stephan to Universal Records. What do you think? They go, we pass. And we take them all around. They go, we pass. We go, we got these songs. We can't really do anything with them. So we're just out X amount of money and you chalk it off to experience. Well, now you can put those songs out and immediately start monetizing. And while you're trying to build the artist, so you're not digging as deep a hole, then when you do win, you have a piece of it. And so you have much more leverage to make a deal. So you have much less risk than you ever did doing it, and maybe even more return than ever. So to me, it made perfect sense we've always been doing it. Just now we've got more of a safety net.
Yeah,
and
less
we're pretty
exposure,
good
man.
Way less risk because even if you don't get a record deal, maybe we spent $30,000 on your demos. We can probably get that back over time, just putting them out and just hopefully over streaming. It's going to eventually get there.
Yeah, man.
Even with no hits or no pressure, with no press or any. And then we obviously try to help with promotion and marketing the best we can because it behooves us.
Yeah.
And if we happen to catch one that really connects and we partner with the label, then it can be a big win.
Yeah.
So I think I think everybody's doing it now, and that idea of owning masters because it pays quicker, it pays more. It was kind of we pivoted early on, and happy we did.
Last question. Do you think that, I don't know if you've thought about this, that podcasts will be generating royalties like songs in the future, and that publishing companies will start looking at signing podcasts?
That's not my expertise, but I would say yes.
I don't think anybody has expertise on it yet because it's too early.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we're getting monetized like songs on streaming, but I foresee it.
But you're getting bought.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, from what I understand, whether it's Hulu or Sirius or everybody's buying all these podcasts.
Spotify does.
And everybody's got a podcast with a following just gets bought.
Yeah.
At least that's what I feel peripherally that I'm hearing.
Yeah.
It's an asset and it's a intellectual property. So it's got to have a value at some point.
Yeah.
And I think you're on the ground floor.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I listen to Howard Stern sometimes. I don't know if you listen to him because it's my guilty pleasure, but he's made, because he's been in radio his whole life, and he's an old time radio guy on the radio, and he goes, everybody in the world thinks they're a DJ now, or because they have podcasts now, and he's always talking about how it frustrates him because he's like a true radio guy who came up just doing an interview and talking to people on the radio, but now any Joe Schmo, no offense intended or anything like that, can have a podcast. I think it's great, but I always hear you talking about how gazillions of podcasts there are, and I got that information from him that he's saying all these guys they start a podcast, and the next thing you know, they've got $1 million for their podcast. So maybe you.
Yeah, it will be.
For sure.
Dude, well, thank you for being on the podcast.
I hope you got everything you need. If you sure there's nothing else as far as...
well, I want to respect your time and...
well, I got 5 more minutes if you want to take it.
Oh, 5 more minutes? Okay, let's do a hot round.
Okay.
A 5 minute... okay, let's see.
I'm putting you on the spot now.
Yeah, no, I like it, man. It's kind of fun. All right, biggest mistake you've made in your career?
Not embracing and understanding the value of co-writing earlier.
What's the best decision you've made in your career?
Investing in myself. Yeah, investing in myself and putting my money where my mouth was.
What is the smartest money move you've made in your career?
Having the patience to make decisions on my timeline as opposed to being forced upon me.
How important is it to not be desperate?
That's kind of plays into my answer.
Yeah.
I never ever sold anything out of desperation.
Can you sense someone that's desperate when they come in if you meet with them? What does that look like?
Yeah, you've sensed it probably. And somebody's a little antsy. They're a little they're trying to sell too hard. They're, trying to tell you more than you really want to know. I'm not saying I always sense it, but you kind of have, look at when somebody comes in, you kind of go, I've heard they've been around town, or I hear everybody else has passed, or this, or there's a certain feeling you get or information you might hear. And desperate's a tough word because, if somebody's, really up against it and, they're have a mortgage to pay or something like that, I've never been that desperate, but I have empathy for that. So I don't mean to make it sound like if you're desperate, you're an idiot. You're desperate because you're in a hard situation. And you don't want to take advantage of that, but sometimes you can sense it.
Okay.
Sometimes you can sense it. But I think that's not something I try to prey upon, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And I definitely, like I said before, try not to ever be in that situation. I guess the best advice, I'm going to go back. The best advice that I ever learned or heard and then learned is that no is a very powerful word. And to be able to say no clearly respectfully and honestly is incredibly empowering. Like whatever it might be. You know what I mean? In life. No. No, sorry. No.
It puts the cards in your hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's not even meant to be like a bargaining tool. It's like you're letting go. Like, I'm not going to second guess it. I'm not going to be on the fence. I'm just no. Sorry. Politely.
Yeah.
But not wiggle roomy no.
Dude, that's cool, man. I like that. A guy that was on the podcast, Dustin Haney, spent a lot of time with Ronnie Dunn and was saying that Ronnie told him the art of saying no was one of the biggest things that helped his career, because it was like, hey, will you come do this thing? And he would say no, and they come back with a bigger offer. Yeah.
And sometimes it can be like and I understand as a negotiating tool, it can be great. But I also mean like, and she and I talk about this all the time. I mean, I get to this point in my life where I have a lot of opportunity. And I'm an opportunist in the good sense that like, wow, that sounds like a good idea. I should do that. Yeah. I should get involved.
You're creative.
Yeah. I mean, I like good opportunities that are smart and creative and maybe make fun and make music and make, and you just can't do them all.
Yeah.
So you just have to say no.
Yeah, man.
And once you've said no, it's like, okay, it's off my plate. I don't have to think about it again.
Yeah, dude.
And if I missed it, I missed it.
Yeah, bro. Hey, lastly, what's the perfect wave? Because you guys surf, right?
Yeah. Oh my God.
What's your perfect wave?
Well, it has changed as I've aged.
Okay.
and my bravery has. It used to be bigger than it is now. The perfect wave is warm water on a beautiful, classy morning, glassy wave, windless kind of glassy waves, and about 5 feet. Rights.
Right. So you're not goofy.
Well, I'm not goofy, and I much prefer to go right.
Yeah, that's
I think the perfect wave in the world is Malibu, if it just has too many damn people.
Oh, yeah. Hey, there you go. It does. Well, thank you, man, Chris. It's been a pleasure having you on the podcast.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it, man.
I wish the best to you.
Enjoyed my trip to Springfield.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for coming all this way.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to watch that number continue to jump at your company.
Thanks. And best of luck to you guys, too.
Hey,
it's been cool what you've done. This has made it very easy. So thanks.
Thank you, man. Have a great one.
Thanks.
This is the Stephan Hogan Podcast.